That's a big chicken. Alright, so here is a before picture of the chop and drop, and I'm going to show you guys an after picture of the chop and drop and what it's good for. Hey everybody, we're back. This is Aaron over at Booyah Farms, and as you can see, I've kind of gone through this little chunk of garden, a little 10-foot chunk, and chop and dropped all the stuff that was in here that needed to be cut down. It was old. It was time for it to go, and I've got other plans coming here. I've still got to do a little cleaning out around this, but that'll be by hand. But I wanted to talk real quick about chop and drop gardening, which is how I do all my gardening now. I've done it this way for years. I've changed up the ways I've done it, and pretty much this is the easiest way to do it. And sorry, I keep thinking there's an ant crawling up my leg. But more or less, we had a big stand of like Bermuda grass, some leftover, I think those were cilantro plants, and sunflowers here. And I come through, chop it all down, drop it on the ground, and leave it. And you know, there's a lot of reasons to do it. I've had a hard time making this video because every time I come out here to make one, it's like I forget 5 or 6 things about why it's so important to do it this way. But this really works for improving your garden soils. If you want good garden soils, it does, you know, you can build them overnight. It costs a lot of money. If you want to do it over the long haul though, and keep your soils healthy, the easiest thing you can do is come in here and chop and drop. And you can see here, there's some chunks. There's, you know, they're big pieces. I cut my stuff in about 6 or 8 inch long pieces. Let it hit the ground, and boom. This stuff will all be gone within a year, and it will turn into amazing soils. Now, why do you chop and drop? So a lot of people like very well manicured gardens, excuse me. And I blame this on the Martha Stewarts of the world and all the TV shows that you see these beautiful gardens and you're like, man, that's gorgeous, blah blah blah. It looks great. But the reality is that I call that stuff garden porn. It looks great, but it's not the best way to do your garden beds. This does not look appeasing to the eye to a lot of people, but this is how you build good soils. So the main reason you do this is these plants, some of these sunflowers are like 8-10 feet tall, right? Well, they're sending a taproot down in the soil. How far do you think that taproot goes in? I've never been able to dig one up because they go past 3 or 4 feet. They're down there and they're mining all the nutrients from below your garden bed that you can't access. But what they do is they go down, they send a taproot down, they break up the soil as a taproot goes, they pull that stuff up, and what you don't use, like if you don't harvest the sunflower seeds or anything else, is still in the plant. If you chop it and you drop it, it leaves it right there on the surface of the soil. So it makes a lot of things more accessible to your plants, and you build better soils over time. Now, there's a couple things that you need to do chop and drop. Here's one of them, a big pair of loppers. And hold on, I'm going to pause this real quick. I got to go find my other pair of cutters. Alright, so we're back. And I found my other pair of cutters. This is the main ones I use. You can see I've probably had these for 10 years. I've sharpened them up. The blade is probably a 1/4 inch smaller than when I first got them. That's how much I've sharpened them up. But you need these. You need a pair of loppers and a weed whacker. Pretty much that does it all. Now, back in the old days, I used to cut stuff up, shove it through a Harbor Freight chipper. I think I paid $100 for, and it would make it into much finer pieces, which I will say the finer pieces will break down much faster than these larger pieces, but that is a ton of work. And you know, the whole point of doing this is for fun and not spend hours and hours and hours out here working on a garden. So I got to the point where I was just like, nope, I'm just going to chop stuff up, drop it on the ground, we're going to see what happens. And years later, I noticed stuff that I chopped up the year before is gone. In case you count like big tree trunks like that or stuff like that. And we got the same results. So that's pretty much why I do chop and drop. You know, it's just, it makes good soil. So I'm going to show you guys some soils pretty quick here. But I want to show you guys this. Okay, here's the sunflower. This is the last one I got to cut down over here. I got to cut a couple back down over there. Literally, this is all I do. You come along. All right. Boom. Chop it. Let it hit the ground. Doesn't matter where it goes, in case you don't want to step on it. And you just start chopping it. Of course, my guard fell open. Just keep chopping it. Like I said, 6 to 8 inch pieces. You want to do 2 or 3, that's fine. That's more work. But honestly, it's hotter than heck out here today. And it's like 70% humidity because we had a storm yesterday. Boom. You just keep chopping these up. Chop, chop, chop. We're getting down here to the end where you might need your loppers. And I cannot see real good, so hopefully this video is in frame. Okay. And this one, we're going to need the loppers for that last one. Set your cutters down, walk over here, grab your loppers. These are going to be fun to use with one hand. I think I can do it though. Okay. Boom. That's it. Cut it off at ground level. When you cut it off straight. You want a nice, straight, even cut like that. That way you're not making a bunch of punji sticks in your yard. But what you do is, you don't want to pull this stuff out. This here, right there, is going to decay in the ground. The whole taproot, the whole plant, the worm's going to come and eat it, leave earthworm castings, and in about 6 months, a little chunk of that'll fall over. You're going to end up with even better soil 3 to 4 feet down, because all that thing is just done is decayed down there. So that's pretty much the how we do chop and drop. See how fast that was? You can really clear out some garden stuff pretty dang easy. And then let's take a look over here. Let's get down here. This is pretty much the end of this. But I wanted to show you guys. So, alright, so there's some soil. There's some more. We keep digging. Look, there's more down there. Now look, we are into actual, what people would call dirt. And that has all been made from, wait for it, chop and drop. And look at that. That's beautiful soil. It's soft, it's squishy. It's even moist because it rained last night. And you end up with this layer. Look, my hand. I'm not even pushing hard here. I'm just going in. And look. That's... Alright, so we're back again. I honestly think this video is not meant to be made. The phone cut out on the last end of the video because it got too hot. It threw up a little thing and says, I'm too hot, I can't work out here. And I ignored it and it just turned itself off. So anyways, we're back. We were kind of doing little pilot holes through this garden and just showing you the soils that we could get, So we're back. We're going to try this again. So you got this, you know, inch layer of chop and drop stuff, and it eventually it turns into, let's see, it turns into this right here. And that is just pure garden goodness, loamy soil. It's beautiful stuff. You can really root around in here and get really deep with it until you actually hit a hard spot. But look at that. And I mean, that's just beautiful stuff. And when I come back and plant this, what you'll do is you'll just, let's see, you'll pull this loose stuff back and you'll plant into this stuff. And I mean, it's good stuff. And that is the whole basic how you do chop and drop, why you do chop and drop, and why you should do chop and drop. It makes great soils. It takes time, but believe it or not, anybody can do it. And in another 6 months, you guys are going to see us planted out with something pretty cool. I don't know what yet. And I've got to keep going that way. So keep on watching, and thanks for watching. This has been Aaron for Booyah Farms. And this is an apple tree. I've got to hand pull that stuff. You can't just go in there with a pair of choppers and before the sun sets and do some work. And it looks like, I don't know, maybe we might get some monsoon stuff. We haven't had a monsoon this year. It was kind of the weirdest thing. The weather's been crappy. It's been humid out, but we haven't got any monsoon storms. But here's the seeds, and you know, the birds and all the other stuff eats those. The bees eat them, or the bees don't eat them, but the bees do, you know, go and get the nectar and the pollen out of the whole deal. But I'm going to come through here and chop and drop everything. Now, back in the day, I used to just about this is you're creating free mulch. Let's see. Let's look down in here. Go look there. I mean, it's not wet because it doesn't hit by the sprinklers, but there's a solid layer of just really good organic matter here. I mean, look at that. That is what you want for your gardens. I'm going to be extending my sprinklers over to here next year and probably putting in another tree. But yeah, that's what I do these days. I get a sunflower like this. Actually, I'm going to do it right in front of you real quick. And you just come along with your clippers. You guys see the monsoon clouds back there? We might actually get a storm today. Our monsoon has not showed up this year at all. Pretty much, you just get this thing. Well, it's really hard to cut these things and videotape at the same time. That's okay though. Yeah, gotta sharpen up my clippers. This goes a lot faster when you're not videotaping yourself. That's why